Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we're doing something very fun, a little bit different than anything I've ever done before. Now, I've done tier lists before, but I've never done one specifically for any sort of fashion video, so I thought it would be fun to take a look at some of the most popular men's shoes and rank them in a tier list. Now, there are some qualifications for this that I want to go through before we get into the video so you can understand my ranking process here. The first piece of criteria here is style. Timeless, taste. Will we look back at this shoe in the future and think, that was well done? Unlike fashion, which is constantly changing and temporary, style is eternal. I think there's also a strong point of quality here as well, since style has much less of a temporal approach than fashion does. Also, keeping cost per wear in mind here. I think long-lasting garments that do what they're supposed to do and don't constantly need to be replaced is a solid point to consider when we talk about style, and will definitely have an influence on the ranking without a doubt. The second point of criteria here is versatility. Does it serve an intended purpose? Does it do the job well? How much flexibility outside of that intended purpose are you going to get out of this shoe? There's also an element of versatility and style, so I think the two can really go hand in hand. And the last bit of criteria here is my opinion. I have to imagine a lot of you watching come here for my opinion specifically, so I think including that as a qualification makes sense. And if you're wondering about my qualifications, I have a bachelor's degree in fashion and have around 10 years of experience. So without further ado, let's rank some shoes. Okay. Starting strong here with the Penny Loafer. The Penny Loafer is a shoe that I love. So my opinion coming into play, it's getting a high score for me because I love a Penny Loafer. I think you can dress these up or down. I could see a lot of different guys being able to rock a pair of these depending on your style. You can wear it again with a more casual outfit, or you could wear it with a suit. So the range of versatility here is high. It's classy, it's timeless. So in terms of style, it's getting a high score. Versatility, it's getting a high score because the range in which you can wear it is so vast. And my opinion, high score as well. So I think we're starting very strong here, and the Penny Loafer is going to go in S tier. Next, we have the Tassel Loafer, and the Tassel Loafer can be worn in more informal occasions. It is less formal than the Penny Loafer, but doesn't have as much versatility to me as the Penny Loafer does. It's almost there. It's right underneath the Penny Loafer, but if we put the Penny Loafer and the Tassel Loafer neck and neck, I'd always choose the Penny Loafer. So for that, I don't think it can go as high on the tier list for me. I also think this is more of a niche style of shoe and wouldn't work for the masses. Like, the versatility is not there as much as a Penny Loafer, and I think it's more of a dandy style. And I really only recommend having a pair of these if, say, you wear your Penny Loafers all the time and you want some added variation and you want to spice up your life a little bit. So I'm thinking B or C, just because, again, the Penny Loafer would always win for me, and I don't want to be too generous. So I'm thinking B or C, but I'm gonna put it in B. Originally, I was thinking C, but I think I'm going to put it in B. Next up, we have another one of my favorites, which is the white sneaker. If you've seen any of my fashion videos, you probably know that I am a fan of the white sneaker, and that's because these are about as versatile as it gets in terms of a sneaker. They are a bit of a pain to keep clean, but that is my only rub with a white sneaker. I truly believe that there is a white sneaker that could work for anyone of any age, demographic, personal style, etc. So for that, it's going S tier. Okay, next up we have something that I've not talked about very much on this channel, and that is a cowboy boot. I have received so many requests from you guys for me to cover Western wear, work wear, more of a blue collar type of style, very casual dressing, and I haven't done a ton of that on my channel. I've done some casual videos, but I've never really ventured into the land of Western wear, and that's because I'm in the Midwest. I'm in Ohio. So I'll be honest, I don't see a lot of Western wear here. I know people wear it, so it's not something I'm exposed to a lot, but I can appreciate the style. And I will say, there is nothing out there that could replace the look of a cowboy boot. And I think that is an important thing to consider while we're ranking things as well. You know, is this unique? Could it be easily replaced by another shoe or another style? And the reality for a cowboy boot is that no, there's nothing out there that can replace the look of a cowboy boot. It stands on its own and it's kind of irreplaceable. I mean, you could go for a different style boot, but then you aren't getting that Western sort of feel. I guess unless there was heavy Western detailing on the boot, but at that point I would probably just tell you to choose a cowboy boot. So for that, I'm going to put it in B tier, because my personal opinion, this would not be my number one boot pick. Again, thinking about where I live, what my style is, what I like to see on men. I think a lot of guys rock these and look absolutely incredible in them. But if, I was asked to choose one type of boot over the rest, I don't think I would choose a cowboy boot. So that's just my opinion. Style-wise, these have been around for such a long time. They're timeless, especially for, certain demographics and parts of the world. In terms of versatility, you can dress these up or down. You could wear these with a very casual outfit or a more polished outfit, especially, depending on where you live. And also, a lot of these are steel toe, so you could wear them in a more work-like situation. So for that, I'm going with B tier, and I think the cowboy boot is a good choice, a good solid choice. A B is a good score. Next, we have the Oxford dress shoe. Again, a classic staple piece that continues to stand the test of time. These are just timeless. They're a classic. They're a staple. If I were to choose one type of dress shoe for men, it would be the Oxford dress shoe. Could I see every single man out there getting use out of this? Well, I think about formal situations and the fact that they are probably the best option to have in a scenario like that. But then I also think, okay, well, what if guys never ever dress up and they have one formal event a year? So for that, I don't think it's going in S tier, but I am going to put it in A tier with the potential for this one of moving up to S. We will see how the rest of the list goes for me. But I think this is a fantastic shoe to have, and I think every guy should have some sort of dress shoe. And again, if I were to pick one, in terms of style, my personal opinion, and almost fully versatility there, definitely style in my opinion, we're going with A, Oxford. Okay, next up we have the all black sneaker. I'm feeling like I might have a little bit of PTSD from the all black sneaker because I always had to wear these at my serving jobs. I was a server at one point. I worked at a country club at one point. I worked at Chick-fil-A as a teenager, actually in high school and then going into college. And the dress code was always all black sneakers. And let's be honest, the style element is just not there for an all black sneaker. I think these look so bad. And even the overarching category of a sneaker, I'm thinking of tons of different styles and variations of a black sneaker, an all black sneaker, and I cannot think of one that has a timeless element or that I really like the look of at all. So my opinion and style are getting very low scores for this one. Versatility, I mean, it's a sneaker. If you're someone who has a very muted wardrobe, maybe you wear a lot of grays, a lot of black, then it could make sense. However, I do think also sometimes that contrast is just too harsh between a black sneaker and then what you're wearing as the rest of your outfit. I think if you're wearing all black, it could look pretty seamless, and your eye would visually go from head to toe in a seamless way, and add that vertical to your look. So I could see it working for that. But outside of that specific outfit style, I don't really necessarily think this is the most versatile option or the best looking option. So for that, plus my PTSD on a black sneaker, it's going to go in the D tier. All right, next up we have the Chelsea boot, which I have an interesting relationship with because I don't think all Chelsea boots are created equal. You have the suede Chelsea boot, and then you have the smooth leather Chelsea boot. And I think you get a very different look with each one of these, so I don't think it's fair to combine them into one category. I also think a Chelsea boot has become a bit of a meme. I have different opinions on the suede and the smooth leather. For the smooth leather Chelsea boot, these can be dressed up a bit more than a suede could. I wouldn't recommend dressing up a suede Chelsea boot. I think those are meant for very casual outfits, like denim, a flannel, something like that. So although the smooth leather has the ability to be dressed up, if I'm thinking about a dressy outfit for a man, I wouldn't ever go out of my way to choose the smooth Chelsea boot. And if we're thinking about all boot styles here, I don't know that I would ever choose a Chelsea boot for a casual situation or a dressy situation in a line with all other boots. The smooth leather I'm going to put in B just because it has the ability to be dressed up. even though I wouldn't necessarily choose that. So my opinion would ding it a little bit here. But it does have the versatility to be dressed up or down. So that's a bonus feature there. I think that's a powerful feature to have that not every shoe does have. So the smooth leather I'm going to put in B tier for now. And the suede, since it has no ability to be dressed up and it has become, unfortunately, a bit of a meme, I'm going to put in C tier. C for Chelsea boot. I don't think the versatility feature is as great with either one of these in comparison to another style boot. And they can be replaced by another style boot and probably look better if you choose something else. So B and C for the suede and smooth leather boots. Okay, next up, sticking on the boot trend here, we have the Chucka Boot. I'll be honest, these are not my favorite. I always thought the silhouette of these was a bit odd, and honestly less flattering than a Chelsea or, something like a service boot. So again, another instance when I would never choose these in comparison to other styles of boots. The suede makes them much more difficult to dress up. You can't really dress these up at all. The silhouette is a bit odd. I don't think these age as well as other boot styles, so the style factor of these isn't really there for me. So being logical and looking at the criteria here, style, middle of the road, below middle of the road. Versatility, you can really only wear these in very casual situations, and I can't see a lot of guys reaching for these or finding that they work well with your personal style. So for all of those reasons, I'm going to put the Chucka Boot in the D tier, right next to the all black sneaker. Okay, next up we have the double Monkstrap dress shoe. Not my favorite, would not be my first choice. I don't think the versatility is as strong with these as a Oxford, as a Derby. I think these are definitely more of a sartorially striking choice. And again, would probably only recommend guys have these who already have many other types of dress shoes and they're just wanting a bit of variation to add into their wardrobe. If you're a guy who dresses up often, if you're a guy who's very into sartorial clothing for men, then these could be a great choice for you. But outside of that, I can't see these really working for a wide variety of men. These are timeless and do often look fabulous, but the versatility isn't there as much. And again, my personal opinion, if I'm comparing these with other types of dress shoes for men, they just wouldn't be in my probably top 3. So for that reason, I'm going to put them in the C tier. They're not bad. They look great. I think they're just not as versatile as some of the other types of dress shoes for men. And again, my personal opinion, not quite there. So middle of the road, C tier, I think is fair. Could put them in B tier as well. They're teetering between B and C for me. I would say they're a low B, high C. Maybe like a 78%. Not bad, but not the best. Oh, next up we have the dreaded square toe dress shoe. If you are not new to my channel, you probably already know how I feel about these. They just remind me of prom in 2001, and the early 2000s did us kind of dirty in terms of fashion. There are not many things from that era that I would consider timeless at all, and that goes for women too. This is not just me harping on men. I will say I don't think all square toe dress shoes are created equal. I think there are some silhouettes that are more flattering than others, but I think they do often create a very strange shape on the foot. I know they give your toes a little bit more room, but style-wise, I just don't think these have it. I think a more rounded or almond sort of toe looks a lot better and creates a better silhouette on a man. You want an outfit to be visually appealing, especially if you are dressed up. Say you're wearing a suit, you want your eye to seamlessly go from head to toe. And I think when you go from head to toe in these, your eyes are so drawn to that blunt, harsh cutoff of the square toe, and it just doesn't elongate a man's leg the way that, more rounded point toe does. So for that reason, the square toe is going in F. And my opinion on these is a 0. So that really knocked it down. Okay, next up we have the Derby dress shoe. And I will say, I think these are underrated. I like that you can get different sole options for these, like a rubber sole, which is a great option for men who might live in a place with bad weather, like I do in Cleveland. I think having a pair of dress shoes that is not just a leather sole is going to serve a functional purpose that definitely knocks this one up a little bit. So the fact that these often have some different sole options, such as a rubber sole, I think they're underrated. They look great. They can be dressed up or down. I'm going to put them in A as well, right next to the Oxford. And you know what? I might have to move the Oxford up to S tier. To a lot of people who are not in the weeds, I think derbies and Oxfords tend to look pretty similar. But for the people who are in the weeds, you will clearly be able to tell the difference between these. An Oxford is more sleek and dressy, and has the ability to be worn in very formal situations, while a derby is technically considered to be more of a casual dress shoe. So I'm actually going to move the Oxfords up to S tier. And again, that is because if I'm putting a derby and an Oxford neck and neck, I would recommend that a guy have an Oxford, because you're going to be able to have more situations covered under an Oxford dress shoe than you would a derby. It is what it is, but when we're doing a tier list here and a ranking, we're getting very specific, and technically a derby is less dressy than an Oxford. So I'm putting the Oxford in the S tier and the derby in A tier. And while we're talking about dress shoes, I also want to talk about brogues or broguing in general. So this is a pattern of perforations that can be on a variety of different footwear, not just dress shoes. These were not intended to just serve a decorative aesthetic purpose. These were originally country attire that served a practical purpose, allowing water to actually drain out of the shoe if the wearer crossed, say, marshy land. With that being said, I'm not sure how many people get that specific use out of it now. I think nowadays it's mostly just a decorative feature, and that's why people buy them. I don't think there are a lot of people who are buying them specifically for, water drainage. I hesitated to include these because I do think they're a lot less common, but I think the history of these was really interesting, and I wanted to share that little fun fact with you because I think a lot of people don't know that. I really like the look of broguing. I know that it's not for everyone, and I don't think the versatility is necessarily there. Although these were made for country attire, I think now it really is decorative, and people use them to kind of add a little flair and personality to their outfit. For the sake of the video, I'm going to put broguing next to the double Monkstrap because I think they can look fabulous. I love the look of these, but the versatility is not necessarily there. I know there was an intended purpose that added versatility to them, although they're really not serving that purpose anymore. And if I was, again, comparing them in a lineup of other dress shoes, I would recommend having, a derby or an Oxford above these. So putting them there. And keep in mind, broguing is not just on dress shoes specifically, it can be on boots and other things as well. And many different variations of dress shoes, different styles, but broguing as a whole can really change the look of a shoe. And I'm putting it in C tier with the Monkstrap. Next up, we have Chuck Taylors. I will be honest, these are not my favorite. I know they are a beloved shoe, and for good reason. They are iconic. And they look great on so many guys. The versatility on these is not bad by any means, but I don't think it's as great as a, basic white sneaker. I could see a lot of guys getting more use out of a regular white sneaker than a Chuck Taylor. I think it covers more bases and more demographics. I think a Chuck Taylor works for a very specific style, and if you don't fall under that specific style, it can sometimes look a bit off and create a strange silhouette depending on the cut of your pants, and can just tend to look a little bit juvenile. Now, that is not always a bad thing. Again, there's a time and a place for these, but they cannot be dressed up. They don't look as refined as a regular white sneaker does. There are so many different styles of Chuck Taylors out there, high top and low top. I will say I think I do prefer the high top versus low top, if you want my personal opinion. There's so many different colors in terms of, the canvas and the fabric on the top with the sole on the bottom. But there are so many different styles out there, and I think that's actually a really good thing because it caters to a larger demographic of people. In terms of style, I don't know how these are going to age going forward in the future, but up until this point in time, these are an iconic shoe, and I think they have aged well, and I think for a certain type of guy, these look just as wonderful as they did when they first came out. So I'm going to put them in B tier only because I would still always probably choose a regular white sneaker over a Chuck Taylor. Although, if you got an all-white Chuck Taylor, technically that is an all-white sneaker. So that could go hand in hand. But again, because of the fact that I do think these can look a bit juvenile, the silhouette can be odd sometimes, and I think a lot of people wear these at the wrong place, wrong time type of situation. I'm going to put them in B. Still a great score. Not my favorite shoe, but I can appreciate them and confidently say that these are iconic. Next up, we have a controversial one, and that is Jordans. Now, I'm not a sneakerhead, so I know that I don't appreciate these as much as so many of you do out there, but I don't think that Jordans are all created equal. Some are the most hideous shoes I have maybe ever seen in my life, and others are totally fine. Like, on the right guy, with the right style, with the right outfit, could be a fantastic look. So these could honestly range from A tier to F tier for me. If you guys have questions about a specific Jordan that you want my answer on, you can let me know down in the comments. But because they can range from A to F to me after looking at images online, let's meet in the middle. I'm going to put them in C, but they are bordering D tier for me just because I think these do not look good on a lot of people. Again, I'm not a sneakerhead. I know some of you are going to roast me for these because you think that Jordans are the greatest shoe in the history of all time. And I will agree that they are an iconic shoe. What will we think of these in the future? I think we'll look back on some of these and think, hey, those are cool. I think we'll look back on other styles of Jordans and think, that is a monstrosity. And whoever designed those deserves jail time. I think it is only fair to meet in the middle. There are so many variations of these, it is so hard to put them in a spot. But given all the different points we just talked about, I'm going to put them in C tier. And I will say, there is a time and a place for these, and these look so horrific when you don't wear them in the right time and place, like many other shoes do as well. You know, if you are wearing a pair of Jordans with a suit, jail. If your personal style leans towards street style, or you wear a lot of athleisure, I think these can look so great. But outside of that, it's usually not so hot. And again, one of the most blasphemous things I have seen are men wearing a beautiful suit and then a pair of Jordans on their feet. It's criminal. Okay, moving on. Next up, we have Vans. And I'll be honest, I've never been a fan of Vans. I think they work, again, for a very specific type of style. If you are rocking more of a skate style, if you own a skateboard and can use it, you can wear Vans. If not, you're a poser. I'm obviously being dramatic, but Vans are just not my favorite. They never have been. I think they often make your foot look kind of tiny. Like, they're just kind of a strange silhouette. I also think the different colors play a role here. I think the black and white, they're the most iconic, but they're kind of overdone. And again, I see people wear them with outfits that they just don't look right with in terms of creating a nice silhouette. And I just don't think they're as versatile or work for a ton of different styles out there. So I'm going to put them with the Jordans in C tier. Though, again, these are bordering D tier for me. They're not bad. They're not good. They're just to me. And I think they were overdone for such a long time. Like, everyone and their cousin had a pair of Vans. I would much rather go for a regular sneaker. You know, if you did an all-white Van, then I could see that working. Again, not every color is created equal. Next up, we have the service boot, which I will tell you up front is my all-time favorite. So my personal opinion, 5 stars. Style-wise, probably 5 stars. These can be dressed up or down. I think there is a service boot out there that could work for pretty much any style that a guy has. You know, whether you dress very polished and put together, or you dress very hipster, or you dress very casual or rugged, I think there is a service boot out there for you. So versatility is also getting 5 stars from me. I think this is one of the best shoes that a man can have. Also considering weather conditions, you know, where I live in Cleveland, the weather gets pretty bad for a lot of months of the year, unfortunately. And a boot with a rubber sole, fantastic. Now, there's a ton of different soles to consider here. You could do a commando sole, a day-night sole, you know, a regular leather sole, depending on where you live. Find what works for you. But I think that there is really no boot quite like a service boot. And there are so many variations out there that there is something truly out there for everyone. My husband has a world-class boot collection. So I do know that I am a little bit biased on this one. But given my experience with the service boot, I know how versatile they are. I know how stylish they can be. The range in which you can wear these is so great. And again, following it up with my personal opinion, 5 stars. So the service boot is going up in S tier. So following the service boot, we have the Timberland. I think these were very popular at one point in time. Was it the early 2000s? Was it the 90s? I'm not totally sure. I'll have to look that up. But they're not doing it for me. they often look very big and clunky, which doesn't create a nice silhouette. And so I think I'm gonna put these in C tier or D tier. I'm gonna put them in D tier. Next, we have my least favorite maybe of all time, and that is Hey Dudes. I have participated in enough Hey Dude slander at this point. I'm not going to go on and on, but I do think Hey Dudes make you look like you have given up. I have never seen these look good on a single sole. No pun intended. They're bad. They're so bad. And the thing about these is that you think you're getting a comfortable shoe. I think that's why a lot of people buy them, because the comfort's there, right? But actually for the long term, they don't offer great arch support because they have sort of a memory foam pillowy sole, which if you're familiar with those, you know that when you wear them in, they sink and there's no support there. So although you're getting them for the comfort factor, that only lasts so long and then they're destroyed. So they're one of those shoes that you just have to keep rebuying, which isn't sustainable or good for your wallet, and not good for your foot. So I don't like these. Style-wise, 0. Versatility-wise, I mean, I would only wear these to take out the trash to the curb. And you know what? I will also tell you, maybe he's watching. My uncle used to wear Hey Dudes, and I gave him a hard time because he's my uncle, and we just have that kind of relationship where I can give him a hard time. Love you, Uncle Mike, if you're watching. But he actually told me the last time I was home that I was right about Hey Dudes and that he wore them for an extended period of time and they were so uncomfortable he threw them in the trash. And he was a Hey Dude stan. So I converted him from a Hey Dude lover to a Hey Dude hater. And I have to say I'm pretty proud of that. And I think that just speaks volumes of what we're working with here. So I'm going to put Hey Dudes in F. It honestly doesn't even feel right to put them in F because I think they're even worse than a square toe shoe. So you know what? I'm creating a category and I'm naming it Hey Dudes because it just doesn't even feel right to put them in F. I'm putting them in their own category. That's how bad I think they are. Okay, moving on, we have another monstrosity, which are Crocs. Crocs had a campaign that basically acknowledged the fact that they are ugly. Ugly is beautiful was the campaign, I believe. So I'm not saying anything controversial here when I say that these are an ugly shoe, but at least they serve a purpose. There are some very specific situations when I think these make a ton of sense, right? You want the drainage that the holes provide. If you are out in the sprinkler with your children, maybe you're at a water park and you don't want to get warts on the bottom of your foot, so you wear a pair of Crocs. Maybe you are playing in a creek with your children or just on the weekend by yourself. I don't know what you guys do in your free time, but there are specific situations when a Croc makes sense, right? So it doesn't feel right to put it in the Hey Dude category because Hey Dudes just don't make sense ever. There's no specific situation where I'm like, yeah, I would wear a pair of Hey Dudes. No. But Crocs, there are certain situations when it might make some sense. Is it going to look stylish? No. Are these timeless? No. They get a 0 in the style department. Versatility, I give them probably a 1 because they really only work for a few scenarios. In my opinion, 0. So they're going to go in F tier. Still not good, but not as bad as Hey Dudes. And actually, I did a video about shoes, and I think it was the worst shoes men wear, and Crocs was obviously on it. And someone left a comment that they stepped on a nail wearing a pair of Crocs, and it went through their foot. Not only are Crocs hideous, but they're also dangerous, apparently, so F tier. Next, we have the dress sneaker. It's trying to be two things that it's not. It's trying to be a dress shoe. It's not a dress shoe. You shouldn't wear this with a suit. And it's also trying to be a sneaker, but it's not a sneaker. It's this weird love child of a dress shoe and a sneaker, and I think you would be so much better off just getting a dress shoe that's going to serve its purpose and a sneaker that's going to effectively serve its purpose as well. So while you think going into getting the dress sneaker, hey, I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone here, you're actually killing no birds with no stones. Because you're not getting either function that you think you're getting. You know, if you're a finance bro in New York City and you need a comfortable shoe that you can walk from your apartment to your office building in to avoid taking the subway, then you can wear a dress sneaker, okay? But really, that's the only time and place when I would say it makes any sense. And honestly, I think you'd be better off just wearing a pair of comfortable sneakers on your walk and just keeping a pair of dress shoes in your bag to change into once you get to the office. But in those scenarios where maybe you don't have a bag, maybe you're trying to look very fly and very cool on your walk. I mean, I don't know that I would actually choose a dress sneaker. But we're putting it in D tier. It's not as bad as a square toe or a Croc. I'm not going to put it in the category with that, but it's not good enough to be a Monkstrap or a Chelsea boot. So I'm going to put the dress sneaker in D tier. Next up, Doc Martens. An iconic shoe. These have been around for quite some time. I think they still look as cool today as they did when they first came out, and I think they work for a very specific type of person as well. Is the versatility there that you would get out of a traditional service boot? No, I think Doc Martens have a very specific style. They have their own look. They're Doc Martens. And because of that, they're also iconic. Could they be easily replaced? I would sort of give the same answer that I gave for the Cowboy Boot. I don't think they're as unique as a Cowboy Boot, but I do think they're hard to replicate and they're iconic. They're Doc Martens. I think that some guys look fine in these. So I'm going to put Doc Martens in B tier. Again, not for everyone. Wouldn't be my first choice. My personal opinion of them would be probably a 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5. Style-wise, they're not as timeless as a service boot. A little bit clunky a lot of the time. But they have a nice durable sole. I think they're good quality. And I think a lot of the styles can serve as like a work boot type of style as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there are some Doc Marten styles that are actually steel toe and approved for, work type situations. My dad had a pair. He works around a lot of industrial equipment for his job, and he has worn Doc Martens a lot. So are they as timeless as a service boot? No, but I think they're iconic in their own way, and they really work for a specific type of style. Next is a driving loafer. I would probably choose both a Penny Loafer and a Tassel Loafer over a driving loafer. Driving loafers look very casual, and honestly sometimes resemble a house slipper a little too much. And specifically, I'm referencing a suede driving loafer. So the suede driving loafer I'm going to put in C tier. Again, not a bad shoe at all. I think these can look really great, but I wouldn't recommend having this specific style of loafer unless you already had, a Penny Loafer and you were just wanting some versatility. Very casual, can't be dressed up as much, and yeah, not my favorite. And lastly here we have the boat shoe. I'll be honest, fraternity guys in college sort of tarnished the reputation of the boat shoe. These were originally intended to find grip on a slippery deck in wet conditions, hence the name boat shoes. Also having non-marking soles to ensure that your shoes don't leave unsightly marks on the boat and ruin the aesthetic of the boat. But people are not just wearing them on boats. Actually, very rarely do I see people wear these on boats. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not around a lot of boats. We do have the beautiful Lake Erie in Cleveland, and I'm sure there are some men wearing boat shoes on boats, which good for you because you're wearing them for their intended purpose. But I don't think a lot of people wear them for that reason. But outside of that, I think a traditional penny loafer just looks a lot better. And you also, with a penny loafer, would get that versatility of dressing it up that you don't get with a boat shoe. So I'm also going to put the boat shoe in C tier. A lot of shoes in C tier. I think that's fair. It's middle of the road. It's not good or bad. Would it be my first choice? Probably not. But it doesn't go above that for me. I think it makes the most sense that C is the most full tier. Now, I only have one in A tier, and I'm starting to think, do I still agree with that? It's also tricky because I'm talking about shoes in a very broad way, when in reality, if you go in depth with each of the shoes here, there are so many variations. There are so many different brands who make shoes. Like, they're not all created equal. I'm trying to be as general as possible here. So if I had a specific shoe from a specific brand, I think that would definitely change the way that I rank things. But overall, if we're looking at things in a general, overarching way, this is how I'm ranking everything on my list today. Might have a little wiggle room on some of them. I know I said a few were teetering between two categories, so it's a little difficult to say, but I feel pretty good about this. And honestly, looking at my S tier, I have a penny loafer, a white sneaker, an Oxford dress shoe, and a service boot. And if I were to work with clients one-on-one, those would be the 4 shoes that I would recommend guys have to have every single base in your life covered. Honestly, a lot of guys could probably get away with just a white sneaker, a dress shoe, and a boot. But I love a Penny Loafer, so I'm happy that it's in there as well. But I feel really good about the shoes that I have in S tier. I think those are the most versatile. They're going to work for the most amount of men, regardless of your age, demographic, personal style. I think those are going to work for the most people. So you're getting that versatility factor. Also thinking about the intended purpose of the shoe and how much you can get outside of that intended purpose. Fantastic with all four. And style-wise, great look. I think these are all timeless. I don't think we're going to look back at a Penny Loafer, a white sneaker, a dress shoe, or a service boot and think, absolutely not, the way that we would a Hey Dude or a Croc. Okay? So I feel good about this. I feel confident. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I know that you will be brutally honest with me, which I can appreciate. You probably have your own way that you would have ranked things as well. I think my opinion absolutely swayed a lot of these. As your opinion should sway them for you, and what works for you and your lifestyle really comes down to your personal style and what works for you. But I feel good about my ranking today, and I'm especially happy that Hey Dudes got their own category because yes, they are that bad. So let me know down in the comments, do you agree, do you disagree, where would you move things around? I would love to see your personal ranking down in the comments. Also let me know, what other shoes should I have included on here? Maybe I will do a part 2 eventually, or maybe I could do this tier list style video with some other categories of clothing for men as well. So again, let me know what you think down in the comments. If you like this video or found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to be in the loop for when I release new content. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Courtney Christine Ryan. I love connecting with all of you guys over on there as well. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.